You can call me Mystic Mike because I predict these things.
Jamahal Hill takes on Jiri Prochazka this Saturday on the main card of UFC 311. And I think this is going to be an absolute dogfight between these two guys. Very exciting fighters who like to stand up and bang. Tend to throw caution to the wind at times, more Jiri than Jamahal Hill, but these guys will stand in the pocket and trade. They're not afraid to take a little punishment to dish it out themselves. Both former champions looking to kind of get back in the win column after losses to the man, the legend, Alex Pereira. Jiri Prochazka coming off of two losses to, coming off of one loss to Alex Pereira. Before that, bounced back against Alexander Rakic, and then before that was his first loss to Alex Pereira. Jamahal Hill coming off of his loss to Alex Pereira. Before that was on a 4-fight run, looking really good in the process. So Jiri Prochazka, kind of an awkward dude, awkward but very effective stand-up style. Throws really good feints. He'll feint in and out. He'll feint his right hand, feint takedowns. Really kind of keeps other guys guessing. A lot of power in his hands. Very dynamic as a striker. Very long arms. Very wide frame. Same with Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill's gonna they're gonna have kind of the same frame, but Jiri's just a little bit crazier and wilder. Jiri takes a lot of punishment. Kind of keeps his chin up in the air. He's got one of those styles, like I said, where he'll take one to dish one out, but at 205 and after having a career of, where is he at, 35-1, this will be his 37th pro fight. It's like, how long can that style last when you're relying on your chin to kind of get you through these fights and get you these wins? Gets his legs beat up a lot. We saw that happen against Alex Pereira from the get-go, just slamming those calf kicks in there, really kind of messing up Jiri's ability to move. He ended up getting knocked out in that fight. Not really sure how much those leg kicks contributed to that, but it is a factor. Same thing happened in the Rakic fight, even worse than Pereira. Rakic was just beating his legs up. He could barely, it seemed like he could barely walk. He could barely put any weight on his foot at times. Ended up gritting that one out and getting the win just because he's an absolute dog and there's nothing stopping the guy. But I do think that's a concern. Maybe not in this fight, but in his career as a whole. I feel like Jamahal Hill throws good kicks, but usually they're to the body, to the head. Doesn't seem like his leg kicks are really anything to write home about. Doesn't seem to be really hurting guys as much as just being your standard leg kick. Whereas guys like Pereira and Rakic, who got, very good kicks, a lot of power, a lot of thud, they seem to hurt Jiri. But not too concerned about the leg kicks in this fight. I am concerned more about the head kicks. We've seen Jiri be susceptible to those against Pereira. And we've seen Jamahal Hill land those on, Glover Teixeira, and a lot of his opponents got very sneaky kicks. People think that he's kind of primarily a boxer, and then he starts digging these kicks to the body or, putting them up top. Jiri's got great cardio. Dude's got a crazy style, but been in a lot of 5-round fights. But the same with Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill, never seen the guy get tired. Took that fight against Teixeira on like 3 weeks' notice. Never looks like he's tired. I mean, he looks like he's got a belly on him. Doesn't look like he's the most athletic dude in the world, but he's very athletic, very powerful, and cardio doesn't seem to be an issue for the guy, regardless of how much time he's got going into the fight. Jiri's got the takedown threat. We saw that against Glover. He did get a sub over Glover. Will look to take the fight down. Jamahal Hill, not so much, but Jamahal Hill's got very good takedown defense. So I'm kind of breaking these guys down, and they're both very even. At the end of the day, the odds are a pick 'em. It's like minus 115 each, but I do think that Jiri is going to get this one done. I feel like he's been the more active fighter. I feel like he's more unpredictable on the feet. I feel like Jamahal Hill, sorry, his name always throws me off. I feel like Jamahal Hill, he does very well against guys that kind of plod forward and are willing to just stand there and engage. You look at his fights with Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira was just kind of a standing heavy bag for that entire fight. He does his little Tyson moves, but he's really he stays in one place. And Jamahal Hill just kind of teed off on him for 5 rounds. Thiago Santos, very powerful guy, but same thing. He's got a lot of weapons, but he doesn't have really tons of crazy movement. Johnny Walker, who ain't knocking Johnny Walker out? Jimmy Crute, no stand up in that guy whatsoever. And that's as far back as I'm going to go, because after that, it's, losing to Paul Craig at 205, knocking out Ovince St. Preux, old man Ovince St. Preux, and then a bunch of dudes that we've never even heard of. I just think Jiri, with his style, his pressure, he's not going to have to worry about the leg kicks. I think he's gonna be able to, you know, dip in and out and just kind of be very awkward. And I think it's gonna be very effective against somebody like Jamahal Hill. I think he will be shooting takedowns. I think he's kind of learned his lesson that he can't just stand and bang with these guys. He's gonna have a lot more success if he's mixing it up and you know, shooting takedowns, getting them to drop their hands, things like that. But you know, he's got that spinning elbow over Dominic Reyes, very awkward overhand right to put out Volkan Ozdemir. Was able to grit through it against Alexander Rakic. Ended up kind of getting crazy in the second round, throwing punches from weird angles. Ended up hurting Rakic and putting him out even after taking tons of damage. So I think they're probably even on the power. They've both been somewhat inactive with injuries, and you got to give these guys kudos. You know, they get injured, they relinquish the belt, and they let the division move on. You got to respect that with these guys. And now, hey, you know, it comes back around, and they're both, you know, back in title contention again. So I just think Jiri, I think he's going to be a little bit more dynamic. I think he's going to have a weird pressure that he puts on Jamahal Hill. That's going to be very effective. Something that Jamahal Hill's not used to really seeing. I'm concerned about Jiri's chin just because he has been knocked out twice, but that's by Pereira, who's, you know, next level power. And looking at Jamahal Hill, like the dude, like he hits hard, but it's like knocked out Jimmy Crute, who I'm not high on. Johnny Walker, who, you know, probably the chinniest dude at 205 in the UFC. Thiago Santos was just kind of getting tired in that fight. Wasn't really getting hurt at all. You saw him fight Glover Teixeira, and he was putting it on old man Teixeira, and he like couldn't, like, was beating him up, but like wasn't sparking him. Wasn't like really one punch knocking the guy out the way that Jiri does. I just feel like Jiri has weird timing and power and awkward angles, and you mix those three together and it's a recipe for KOs. I feel like he's the bigger threat in terms of grappling. Like he subbed Glover Teixeira, who's a high level black belt. He's a brown belt in his own right. I think Jamahal Hill's like a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, how are you a champ in the UFC? You're 33 years old and you're a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, come on, dude. Like, I think that somebody like Jiri is going to exploit that. I think he's going to look to get takedowns. Even if he doesn't get them, it's going to open up his strikes. And I think that he gets this one done. I think his last fight, June 2024, you know, he's got 7 months off. Jamahal Hill, you know, April, almost a year off. So he's going to be kind of the fresher fighter, which isn't always the best because he is coming off of a KO loss. But I just think he's going to have more weapons on the feet. I think he's just more of a dog. I think when things get tough and he's taken a lot of damage, I trust Jiri over Jamahal Hill to bite down on his mouthpiece and get it done. So I'm going to go with Jiri Prochazka by knockout in this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Appreciate it.